Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I hope and pray that this video finds you well as you are diving into all things social sector and social impact. In today's video, we're going to talk about different ways to generate funding. And believe it or not, I'm not going to talk a lot about the financial pieces itself. I'm going to dive more in depth with that in another video, but I do think there is some framing that needs to be done before you even consider the types of funding that your organization needs. And so I hope and pray that these strategies are helpful for you guys, and I look forward to hearing your feedback about things that you're doing as you're working on your nonprofit work. So the first strategy that I think is really important for you guys to consider as you are working on your program plan, you now understand who your target audience is, you have built out a marketing and communications plan, and all the different things that come with bringing this beautiful concept that you have to life. I think it's important for you guys to have your paperwork and a startup budget prepared. So that is strategy number one. Again, a lot of people jump to applying for grants, looking at private options for funding, wanting to engage with your donors and your volunteers, and making sure that you're doing things for Giving Tuesday and all of those things. And that is so important. But if you are just starting out, it is important for you to have your concept and your affairs in order. And when I say your paperwork, I'm talking about your 501c3 status, making sure that you have the proper budgets in place so that when you're asking for funding, you're able to communicate the areas that you need funding and why the funding will be impactful. In my experience, when it comes to working with different leaders that have started social impact programs, the biggest challenge that we, because I have run into this issue myself, when it comes to bringing in funding is buy-in. You know, when you don't have people backing you, most donors aren't interested in, working with new coming social impact leaders because you are a high risk investment for them. And so you have to be very clear with what it is that you're doing, why you're doing it, and the impact in dollars that your donors will be able to see as they invest in your nonprofit concept. When it comes to finding sources of funding, you need to make sure that you understand the protocol for different organizations and individuals. So for example, you have the National Science Foundation that gives a plethora of grants to different research institutions such as universities, nonprofits that do work in the field of STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. They may have different requirements than, say, a local family foundation that wants to give you a couple $1,000s. So I know this isn't necessarily talking about, this is how you write a grant, this is how you do this is where you go for that. But if you don't have your paperwork in order, if you don't know what your organization's mission is all about, and you can't effectively communicate that to anyone, then one, you'll be going after the wrong donors, and two, donors will not be as interested in investing in your project or your program or organization because you're not really clear on who you are. So strategy number two that I would encourage you guys to think through as you are building out your sources of funding is research comparable organizations. By law, nonprofits or organizations that have 501c3 status are required to report, their annual incomes and things like that through their annual report on their website. So make sure that you're checking those out. So if you are a leader that is interested in launching a nonprofit that helps with animal abuse or animal cruelty, check out other, shelters and organizations, and they don't even have to always be public or for not-for-profit organizations. I would also encourage you to look into the private sector and see what other leaders and organizations are doing to get creative with their sources of funding. I think COVID was a big wake-up call for a lot of industries, including the social sector. as a social sector enthusiast, I think that we are behind in a lot of ways, and the world is moving at a rapid pace that you must make sure that you're keeping up with, and that includes funding. There are so many ways to get creative now, and I think that a lot of nonprofit leaders are bound by social sector tradition. And it's not to say that tradition isn't wrong, because there are some things that you 100% should engage in and do as you are stewarding the relationships with your donors and those that are giving to your organization. But you have the opportunity now to get as creative as you want to. We have the world at our fingertips through social media and the World Wide Web and different platforms such as YouTube and TikTok and, fundraising platforms. So use those resources that are available to you. And if you are struggling to find resources, that's where you do the research with other comparable organizations who have similar missions to you, and see ways that they are bringing in revenue and funding. It takes time to do all of this work, but it'll help you be more on target when you are ready to start fundraising and building different campaigns for your organizational needs. The third strategy is simply build relationships. You are in work where people are what you do and who you engage with, and so for you to brand yourself and market your programs and such, you have to go out and make a name for yourself. And what that looks like can look different based on the industry within the social sector that you're in, but it's important to go ahead and start engaging with different groups early so that as you are building out your program, you can rely on those contacts and see if there are any other organizations that they can refer you to as you are building up fundraising. Some examples that I can think of is professional development organizations. If you want to work on getting your CPA so that you can help other nonprofit leaders with accounting and fundraising and different things like that, join an organization that focuses on that. If you are big on arts and humanities for children with special needs, there are so many professional development networks that you can join via Facebook, via LinkedIn. You can do a quick Google search and reach out to local organizations in your specific area and ask, like, hey, I am a new nonprofit leader. I'm working on this concept and I just want to see what are some resources that I can engage in as I'm trying to build up my network and my portfolio, so that when you again begin to fundraise, you can reach out to those contacts. A lot of my success has been asking questions. I believe that there is no such thing as a stupid question or a wrong question, and the worst that somebody can tell you is no. And fundraising it's a lot, because there is a lot of rejection for some people, for most people, before you really get that breakthrough. But if you believe in what you're doing, if you believe in the mission and you are taking the steps to network and, go to conferences and going through, different trainings and engaging in professional development opportunities, you will be able to connect with those that can help build up your program. One thing that I do want to say, it is intentional that you don't do this work alone. One of my pastors said, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with other people. Meaning you can build and do all of this heavy lifting by yourself. And some people can be successful in that. But most times when it comes to producing a mission for an organization that's going to be long lasting, you have to have a team of people around you. And whatever that network looks like for you, that's up to you to decide. But again, start early engaging with people. These people can help you, get in contact with others. They can also give you perspective and stand in a gap in areas where you may have blinders, because you're so in the weeds of what you're doing, you may not think of certain things. So again, build relationships now so that when you are beginning to fundraise, you can rely on, so that when you are fundraising, you can rely on the network that you have built up from the inception of your concept to it forming into real life. Strategy 4 is me giving you guys some sources of funding that you can look into as you're building out your fundraising projects and timeline of activities and such for your organization. So the first source of funding that I want to share with you guys is looking into different corporate social responsibility programs. There has been a major shift in different organizations and Fortune 500 companies making sure that there is a level of giving, because that is what their customers are demanding. So depending on your area of niche, you can look into different businesses that provide grants or scholarship opportunities for nonprofit leaders in that space. So if you're working with AI or anything related to technology for your nonprofit, you can look into what Google offers, or other organizations that require a nonprofit leader to engage with STEM or technology. And then there are some organizations you don't necessarily have to be related in their industry. So if you want to check out CVS or BMW, sometimes it's not about you specifically being in a certain industry. It may be we want to reach leaders that are women, or people of color, or people in a certain demographic. And so a lot of times I think that we don't go after those CSR options because it can be daunting in the requirements that they may be asking. But again, the worst thing that anybody can say is no. And if it doesn't work out, then at least you tried. So check out different organizations that you're passionate about, that you shop at, or those that you never even thought about, to see if there are any scholarship opportunities or grants or financial sources that are available for nonprofit leaders. The second option that I wanted to share with you guys are local private foundations. So most states have area foundations. The state that I am in has 3 local area foundations, and they focus specifically on nonprofit leaders, big and small, that are doing work throughout the state that I am living in. And so check out your local foundations. Not only do they offer sources of funding, but they also can offer sources of professional development and consulting work for nonprofit leaders that are looking for help in different areas. I also wanted to share looking into grants. Grants can be a very daunting task for some people if you don't have background in that area, but there are a lot of consulting firms now that work with nonprofit leaders specifically on their grant process. I am thinking about Grants Plus. Grants Plus is a wonderful organization that helps nonprofit leaders with writing, and so they help either step in if you don't have someone on your team that can write a grant for you, or if you're just looking for guidance on the type of resources that you need to make sure that you're answering the questions properly on the application, or you're telling your story in a compelling way. You can check out different organizations that can help out in that area. And again, grants can be at the state level, based on your county or city or parish that you're in, and then of course you have your federal grants. And I want to caution you guys, it takes time to apply for grants. I have engaged in grant writing activities that have taken several months. And it's a lot of information that is required. You have to build a team, especially if you are working on a project that is going to be engaging with people. And there's a lot of certifications and different ethical things that these organizations are requiring for you guys to have. So make sure when you are looking into grants that you're considering the timeline of everything, because it does take time to write the grant. It takes time with the post award and things like that, so that money is not as quick as a donor, giving you a couple $1,000s through a check or a Cash App or something like that. And then the final thing that I wanted to talk about as I'm looking through my notes a lot of people, especially my older social impact leaders, or those that are older but they're ready to start engaging with different projects that they want to do to support their community or their state or, nationally, get on social media. Again, we have the world literally at our fingertips, and I personally am grateful for platforms like YouTube, TikTok. Those are the two that I engage with the most, but there are so many opportunities now for you to reach people that you never would have been able to reach a couple years ago, decades ago. And so, for example, on YouTube, you can create memberships. So if someone is interested in working with you more in a one-on-one intimate setting, you can, customize the type of benefits and perks members will get through your membership. You can engage with Patreon and different platforms like that, where you can have memberships there. You can build out e-courses and, workbooks and digital products and such, to put out, different things that may be of interest to your target population. And so that's another way that you can engage in fundraising activities, while still keeping your target audience in the loop of the things that your organization is working on. I also want to talk about AI. I think that AI is coming. It's coming. It's already here, and it's important for you guys as social impact leaders to understand, the benefits of AI, the things that we need to think about as we are engaging with AI, some shortfalls that, may come up with this product. But AI is going to change the landscape of a lot of industries, if not all industries. And as we are progressively engaging in a more technology-based society, you have to be able to keep up. You cannot keep doing things manually, and sometimes doing things manually can slow you down. And so doing your due diligence and research on the trends with technology and where things are going, and AI specifically, and ChatGPT and all of those resources, I think is so important for you guys to engage with those products and platforms, and see what you can use with your organization to engage with fundraising and spreading and bringing awareness to your message. And so again, checking out the trends with technology and where we're going and how to engage in a society that is becoming more technology driven and social media driven, and making sure that your organization is adapting as necessary. I want to conclude this video with just giving you guys a nugget of encouragement. I hope that I gave a level of framing that will give you guys some practical steps and things that you can do as you are engaging in fundraising, because I know that most people that come across my video are probably limited in the resources that they have and the understanding of things that they have, because they're like, hey, I just have this passionate thing that I want to do, but I don't know where to start. And so don't be weary. It's going to take time, but I believe if you engage in doing these strategies and seeking out the different sources of funding that I mentioned, I think that you guys will have a strong success in building up the funding that you need for your organization. As you are networking, as you are looking at the different resources that are available, as you're studying comparable organizations and engaging in professional development opportunities, make sure that you stay true to your mission. Make sure you don't get so caught up in the weeds of doing things that you miss the value of why you started this stuff in the first place, because that is what's going to keep you anchored when you have those hard days, when you get told no, when you get told, we can't, support your organization at this time. There are a lot of major organizations that it took them years to get to where they are, but I do believe we are in an opportune time where there is so many resources at our fingertips. Social media makes things a lot easier in some capacities when you're trying to build out your organization. So utilize what you have and work with what you got. I look forward to hearing back from you guys in the comments and seeing what wonderful things you're doing, and any feedback on things that you would like for me to delve into. I know I talked about AI, and that's something that is still new for a lot of individuals, especially in the social impact sector. So let me know if you want me to do a video on that. And until next time, try to make the world a better place today.